think the #1 question I've gotten by far is, how do you stretch the budget? I talk a lot about how we don't waste anything in my house, that nothing gets thrown out, and I use absolutely every scrap. Well, this is how I do it. And I'm actually doing this video for my friend Susan. Hey Susan, hello. I'm going to show you what we were talking about the other day. Alright, so I almost never buy chicken that's already been cut up. I use a lot of it, but I do it myself. Now, if I find a package of legs or thighs or breast or whatever that's within my $1 a pound range, I'll buy that. Sure, no problem. I mean, I'm not going to make extra work for myself. But you can often find chicken for as low as 69 cents a pound. You have to buy the whole thing. Now, that sounds like a lot of work. It's really not. I am no butcher, and I can do this all the time. I'm not fast, and it's not always beautiful, but I get it done, and it saves so much money. It's well worth learning. The first couple of chickens you do, you might just destroy, but that's okay. It's worth it in the end. Okay, so here we've got a chicken, and this one was sold as a roaster. It's nice and big. This one's almost 7 pounds. I do that on purpose. I'll tell you why in a minute. Ignore this little pop-up timer. They're worthless even if you're roasting the chicken. They're especially useless now. Okay? So come in here, and here's where you're going to make your first cut, right between the leg and here's the breast. And what you want to do is come through right there, because you can see a lot of your work's already been done for you, but you've got to get to it through the skin. Okay? And we'll flip him over, because this is how I like to do it, and I don't think that this is any kind of orthodox technique. Well, what I'm doing is I'm after the thigh joint that's right up there next to the back. So I come all the way around. I don't want to cut through with my knife. I don't want to try to cut through with my knife. I don't think I have the strength. Plus, I don't want to ruin my knife. I want to hold it back. Of course, this one doesn't want to pop. There we go. That's what you're looking for right there. That's the thigh joint. So I'm going to come in here, my little paring knife. See? Absolutely perfect. So we're going to set him to the side. We're going to come up to the wing, and we're going to repeat this process. Now, I sat down a minute ago, and I started working out the math on how much per serving I pay. I mean, yeah, great, it's 99 cents a pound, but if your servings are tiny, or if they don't feed your family, you haven't gone anywhere. See, same thing with the wing joint. Did I talk too much and not show that? Do I need to show the other one? Right up here, you do the same thing you did to the thigh. Now, normally I do both legs and both thighs and both wings, and then I come in to do the breast, but I'll show you why in a second. So, come right here. This is called the keel bone, and you're going to come just slightly to the side of the center. See how we're going to open up right here? Keep pushing down. Oh, look, look. This is great. See that? How it separates? That's often sold as a chicken tender. I think I saw them for $2.68 a pound today. And of course, you don't get a pound off of one chicken, but I'm going to tell you why my method works. When I find chicken on sale, like I did, and I think this particular batch was 79 cents a pound. Sometimes you've got skin that doesn't want to turn loose there. I buy a bunch of chickens. Now, I feed a lot of people. I need about 10 portions for every meal. That's a lot. But what I do is to buy 10 chickens. Okay? I then divide it up this way. Now, this is what I did earlier. And this is what you end up with. It's not pretty. But here's how we're going to do it. We're going to group all of our legs together, and we're going to group all of the breasts together, and we're going to come in and take a couple extra steps. We're going to skip a step here. Now look, see, the #1 thing. Work on a tray instead of a cutting board. Your knife actually doesn't hit the tray you're working on the chicken, but you don't want this stuff everywhere. Cross-contamination can be nasty, so we don't want to go there. Alright, so we're setting this off to the side, because other than separating the thigh from the leg, we've done everything we're going to do to these except package them up. Alright, now check this out. Looks kind of gross, doesn't it? There is still a ton of meat on this chicken, right? There's a bunch there, and if you come over, you'd be surprised at how much is left in all these little pockets, all these little places that don't want to carve off very easily. So, I'm going to take a couple minutes. I'm going to set up for the next step. I'm going to show you how to get really fabulous chicken for about $3.50 a serving. That ain't bad. Okay, so I broke down all 4 of my chickens. I've got the leg and thigh pieces, like this. I separated out the wings, the breast, and then the carcass as well. Now, all 4 of those carcasses are in my big stock pot back here, and that's another step. So we'll come back. And I made myself mad a minute ago. I meant to say 79 cents per portion instead of per meal, because that's backwards. We do way better than $3.50. Okay, so the one and only thing I have trouble with, here's my drippy faucet going again. The one and only thing I have trouble with is separating the thigh from the leg. And it's not that hard. Now, I'd probably do better if I went ahead and removed all the skin first. I don't know why I think I have to make this look all pretty because it's on camera, because that's not what our criteria is here, is it? I want you to see what it looks like. And I want you to see how to get the most from every penny you're going to spend. But I left it on the others. Sometimes skin's stubborn. It's a little fatty and slippery. And see, that one just doesn't want to go. So I cut around the top, just in the shape of a drumstick. You know, think of a cartoon drumstick. And that's kind of give you a guide to where to go. And of course the others that I didn't give me any trouble, except the one right before this one, and that one I would have had to bleep out the whole video. Alright, so pop it backwards. Here's your joint separating, and at that point you can come straight through. And then you have these little pretty, perfect, here's a thigh, and here's a drumstick, okay? Now, I've got all of my drumsticks in one bag. I'm going to zip this up, stash this in my cooler, because that's a meal for 4 people. That's 2 drumsticks per person. Nice, nice. Even better. Let me show you this trick. So these are the breasts from the chickens. It's half a breast, you know, one from each side. Now, I said at one point the only thing we don't eat is the little plastic bag that giblets come in. No, we don't eat that. Okay. So here's how I work the breast meat, and this is how we get the portions to stretch even further. I want everybody to feel full, but I don't want them, you know, there's no reason to eat too much either. So, if you run your fingers under the skin a little bit, you'll see that little membrane? Most of the time you can just pop that with your thumb if you want to, just like that, and it'll peel right off. Okay? And, in case you think that that's garbage, check out my schmaltz video. Alright, so, turn him over. See this? That's the tender. Okay, did you see? Here's the top side. I turn it over, and that's the tender. Okay? So we're going to come slice right through here. I set this aside because we're not going to include that in the portions over here. If you have a really big bird, which, you know, I feed children, so I could almost do 3 portions, then cut it into 3 portions. You'll end up with 4 pieces off of each breast half. In this case, it's not quite big enough, and some of my children are teenagers. So, you see the shape? You kind of got a fat end, and you got a thinner end. I want the portions equal, so I come up here a little bit. And then when I package this up, I just watch for slightly different cooking times. If you wanted to, you could package these together and these together from off your chickens. And so you'd have even cooking times for all the pieces in the package. Okay? So, this is all going to go in the cooler. I've got my stock pot started back here. I'm going to make sure I've got everybody packaged up. And you know what we haven't even looked at yet? Ooh, we haven't even looked at the giblets and what can be done there, because, oh yes, you can use every bit of that. And we haven't looked at the wings either. So stay with me and be patient, because you're really going to like how this all turns out. Okay, you know how I told you to stay with me on the chicken? Alright, here's our next step. I took just the carcasses and I threw them in a big stock pot, covered them with water, brought them to a simmer, gave them half an hour, and I pulled the bones out. Now, I put the stock back on the stove with some carrots, some celery. Don't show that into the kitchen, it's a mess. I put some carrots and some celery and some onion. Don't go back over there. Now, I already did the first 4 chickens. No, I did the first 3 chickens. Here's number 4. Now, I was telling you that there's a ton of meat still left on here. And after you do a couple, you'll start learning all the little pockets and bits and pieces where all the meat hides. But you can see from 4 chickens, I've got more than 4 cups of meat. So, let's go back a little bit. You know, we spent a total of, what, $21, $22. And so far, we've got 4 portions for legs, 4 portions for thighs, 8 portions for the breast. We've also got, from the wings and the tenders, another 4 portions all told. And we now have another 4 portions of just the meat. This can go in chicken and dumplings or chicken soup or chicken salad or chicken casserole or chicken gumbo, shrimp salad, any of those things. You can use this for 1,000 recipes. So once I've finished picking my chickens, I get them back on the stove over here. Just the bones are going back in my stock pot, okay? Because we're still not done. We're still working on getting every little bit we can out of these poor chickens. All right, so I'm going to put the last little bit here. I'm going to wrap that up, stick it in the cooler so it stays nice and moist and delicious, because it's not bad. It needs seasoning, but not bad. This will go in a casserole. This goes back in my stock pot. And I'll show you how we finish off the last, how many steps? We still have the giblets and the livers and the stock. We've got a long way to go. I'll be back. I meant to come back and show you how to do all this last night, but I forgot that we were supposed to go up to the courthouse because they were lighting the Christmas tree. And now today, our local high school team, go Big Green, that's my alma mater, they're in the state championship, and they're right there. So if you hear a lot of horn blowing and the cars beeping, and everybody's excited. So, but I wore green for that occasion. And yeah, I know I wear green all the time anyway. But today it's Green Devils. All right, so we're finishing up the chicken. We've almost got everything done. Here's what I did. I had the pot on the stove simmering because I had my chicken broth in it. All I did was strain everybody out and I stuck it in my jars. I ended up with 7 quarts of chicken broth, okay? That's over $17 if you buy it retail. This is also where I really started having trouble with the math, and I'll tell you why. This is all the cooked chicken that we got that was supposedly, it's a scrap, it's the throwaway stuff. But this came off of our chicken carcasses. Now, apparently I have a chicken-loving mouse in my house because half of my chicken is gone this morning. It was full. That would have been 8 servings of chicken. I have a sneaky suspicion that my mouse is about 6'1" and 130 pounds, and he might have very dark hair and likes to wear red. But all that aside, this is what we ended up with, and some of this is going to go in the freezer. Some of it I'm going to use right away. We got 4 portions of chicken breast twice, so 8 portions total. We got 4 portions of chicken legs, 4 portions of chicken thighs, 2 of chicken wings, because there's so little on here. What I do is when I get this, I stash it in the freezer until I have enough to do, a whole chicken wing blowout. But that's about 2 portions. The chicken tenders, I also have about 2 portions, and again, stash it in the freezer until you have enough to do chicken strips or chicken nuggets, or to simmer it off and use it for casseroles or whatever. Now, this is what I'm going to be dealing with today, and this almost always goes in the garbage. This is the giblets, and this is from all 4 chickens. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down. I'm going to go ahead and cook it off. I'm going to stash my livers in my little stash because I'm going to make pate, and I'll show you how to do that very soon. I've almost got enough. But today I'm going to make dirty rice in a few minutes, which I'll be back and show you how I'm going to do it. But we've used every scrap of chicken that we can use. I mean, if it's edible, we've got it broken down. Just a minute. The one thing, just a minute. I have a critter over there trying to get my attention. The only thing I didn't do this time, and if you go back and check out the video on chicken schmaltz, you'll see that almost always I do it. This time I stuck it in the freezer. I didn't deal with the fat or the skin. It can be used, and before you freak out about that, you would not believe how delicious it can be. Plus, you'll also be surprised at how very little you end up with. Out of 4 chickens, you're like, oh my gosh, that's tons of fat. And it really isn't. It's tiny amounts. So go ahead, use it, and have the treat. Okay, so this is step 1 on maximizing our budget, our food budget, the chicken edition. I will try to do the math for you on paper so that I don't have to subject you to any more on-camera math from my head. But we got it to about 78 cents a serving. That's not per meal, it's a serving. And that didn't even include the chicken broth. All right? Okay, now I'll be back. Stay with me and watch what I do with each of these steps.